Masked villains, political intrigue, and giant robots beating the shit out of each other. Yep, Gundam is back. The second episode of the second season of Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans opens up with an amazingly awesome action scene, watching the Gundam Barbatos Lupus, the demon of Tekkadan, completely wreck the Dawn Horizon Core. I shit you not, that opening action scene actually had me cheering. It was fantastic. Mikazuki still is one of the coolest pilots that I've ever seen, and this was a really gritty mobile suit battle, which also made me reflect a little bit on the mobile suit battles from Iron-Blooded Orphans. They tend to be a little more hard-hitting than the traditional Gundam series. A lot of that having to do with the fact that they use a lot of blunt weapons and don't rely on beam-type weaponry, and that makes all of the attacks seem that much more impactful. That scene where Mikazuki is just flying across Mars, brings out this massive sword, dodges a huge attack, swings around and slams the sword into an enemy mobile suit, is like something out of Berserk. You would think that Guts himself, the Black Swordsman, was piloting that mobile suit, because that attack was brutal and incredibly satisfying and a great showcase for the titular Gundam of the second season of Iron-Blooded Orphans. But this episode right here was planting the seeds for the next big story arc in Iron-Blooded Orphans. It looks like Tekkadan is going to be going to war with space pirates, the Dawn Horizon Core. These guys were formally introduced in this episode, and they were the mercenaries that were hired to take down Tekkadan in the last episode of the series. Their leader is ridiculous looking. I love him. He looks great. He's got this like braided beard and this bullseye thing on his head. These guys look like they're going to be a lot of fun, and clearly it looks like from the shadows, a lot of characters are still trying to manipulate Tekkadan and use them for their own political intrigue. I'm talking about Montag, otherwise known as McGillis Farid. He appears formally in this episode, and thank God, because I think he's such a great villain, the way he always tries to play things behind the scenes. That and the fact that in some ways he's not completely unjustified in what he's doing, he's just going about it in, you know, kind of a psychopathic way. The fact that Tekkadan is even willing to work with him is really strange, but then again, we have Orga, who's trying to make the impossible possible. He is trying to do this as quick as humanly possible in order to make Tekkadan more well-known, and of course to make everyone a lot safer. There's like a million things that are going on in this episode right here. A lot of them are really simple though. Basically, Tekkadan just talking with a lot of the higher-up people in their group, just letting them know, look, we're going to war with these space pirates whether you like it or not, but we're going to completely whip their asses. There's a scene where Hush Mitty wants to have the Alaya Vijnana surgery, but that's definitely not going to go down because he's 17 years old, and apparently once you reach that age, there's no way to have that surgery. He still wants the same power as Mikazuki, and we get to learn why in this episode. Apparently at some point in the past when he was living in the slums, one of his friends, Bilth, actually tried to have this surgery, and the surgery ended up killing him. And at the time when Bilth was actually having that procedure done, it was also when Mikazuki was having his third surgery. And apparently, seeing a young, weak kid being able to survive it that much just really pissed off Bilth to the point where it actually ended up influencing Hush Mitty, and now he's got this sort of like weird rivalry going on with Mikazuki where he's going to try and surpass him. As Dane said in this episode, good luck. We also have a nice tender moment between Mika, Kudelia Ina Bernstein, and Atra, who is still doing everything in her power to make this threesome possible. The end of the episode, though, is where things really start to get interesting. We have those other members of Gallerhorn, who are being led by that guy by the name of Rustal. There's also the return of Julieta, the girl who ate the butterfly in last week's episode. And there's also this brand new mysterious Iron Masked character. That means we're going to have two masked characters in the series. McGillis Farid and this other dude who knows who the hell that could be? All I know is I love the design of this character, and it looks like he's going to have his very own signature mobile suit. You get to see a lot of clues to this and a lot of other cool little spoilers in the intro this week, which, honestly, I really liked. I don't think the song is as good as Man with a Mission's Raise Your Flag. That's going to be really hard to top, just because that song was so explosive and just fit the imagery of the series so well. But overall, this is definitely a close second. This is definitely the second best intro that I've seen from the series. It gets the blood pumping, it shows off a lot of new characters, as well as a lot of new mobile suits. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans? Super satisfying, lots of cool action at the beginning, and getting to see a lot of our favorite characters again. There were a lot I didn't even talk about. There's Yuki Nojo, the mechanic from the last series, who makes a formal appearance in this episode. There's a scene with Takaki, who's actually back and hanging out with his sister again, which is a nice little scene between those two. And of course, there's just a lot of political shit going on, which can definitely get kind of boring at times, but it's interesting to see where this is going to go. It's nowhere near as convoluted as Reikengista and G, but it is the type of series that I kind of like to watch the episodes back to back, just so I can have a firmer understanding of really what's going to be going on within them. Though, still, this was a fantastic episode right here, getting to see how Tekkadan has been growing and how their growth could actually be threatened by these space pirates, who are characters that just sort of came out of nowhere, but they're clearly being manipulated, I believe, by Montag, and he really, I think, wants both of these organizations to take each other out. I still don't trust McGillis Farid whatsoever. What I will say is I did trust this week's episode of Gundam, which was awesome. Great production value, especially in that opening battle, and lots of great character moments throughout, as well as building up the next arc of the series. I'm going to give this one right here a 5 out of 5. This episode was way better than the first, and in many ways, they should have combined some of the elements of the first episode with this one. It just made for an overall more entertaining experience. What I will say is, Gundam fans, check out this series. It is going to be awesome. I cannot wait to see how they're going to wrap up this second season. Maybe we'll even do something that Gundam has never done before. Maybe we'll get a third season. Maybe they won't be able to contain it all within this, but we're going to have to wait and see. So that's my thoughts on this week's awesome episode of Iron-Blooded Orphans. Make sure to tell me what you guys thought about it in the comment section below. You guys are awesome! Thank you for watching this review, I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, and like the video. Thank you again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!